Okay, man, tonight. We have speaking for Shana Bet, Shmuel Kligman. Speaking for Shana Aleph, Revivo. Shua Spak's making a Siyum tonight. There's Sikha. There's food. Okay, and of course we want to very much thank our sponsors tonight, Shalom Woodrow and family. In memory of his father, Irwin Woodrow, Yitzchak, Arya, and Ya'kov Abba Halevi upon the second yahrzeit, which is Hey Shvat, which is now. Right now. Monday was Rosh Chodesh.
Thursday was 4. So last week I was listening to a Dvar Torah before Shabbat. And it was given by Rabbi Ya'kov Moskowitz, who gave an amazing, beautiful idea on the Parsha from last week's Parshat Vayera. And I want to just reiterate it and give it over this week because it was just such an amazing idea that it's worth being shared. So at the end of the Parsha last week, we see that Paro does something extremely unusual. What does he do? After the Makav Barad, after the Makav Hail, we see that the Pharaoh says the following words: Chatati apam Hashem atzadik ve'ani ve'ami harashayim, which means that this time I have sinned, this time my people, the Egyptians, have sinned. Hashem atzadik, Hashem is righteous, and I and my people are wicked. This is crazy. Right here we see the very first time that Pharaoh, arguably one of the worst people to have ever lived in terms of what they did to the Jewish people as a whole. We see this is a time that he did a very real tshuva, and he acknowledged and understood that Hashem is part of his life. And not only did he say that there's a God, but he said Hashem atzadik, Hashem is righteous, and me and my people are wicked. It's crazy. Many of the Rishonim are bothered by it. And they asked, what was so special about Barad, of hail, that caused Pharaoh to think back and realize that Hashem is righteous? The Riva gives a beautiful answer. What does the Riva say? He says that before the Makav Barad, Hashem warned. And it says in the Psukim very clearly that Hashem gave a special warning. He told Pharaoh, before the plague, you're instructed to bring in all of your animals, because if not, they will die. Well, right after the plague happens, Pharaoh has a realization. He reflects on what just happened. He says, wait a second. Why does Hashem need to do this to me? What did I do to deserve a warning that Hashem spares my animals for me? There's no need. He writes that Pharaoh felt that Hashem did a chesed for him. And he warned him about his stuff. And therefore, the reason that my people didn't think about, the reason that my people were unable to see the chesed, that's the reason why we're Rishayim. It's crazy. All it took was a warning. Hashem warned Pharaoh and his people beforehand, and then Pharaoh stopped and thought about it for a second. He said, wait, I didn't deserve this. There's nothing that I did. In fact, it was the opposite. And Hashem did a true chesed for me. If we sit back and we think about it for just a second, Pharaoh has already gone through so much at this point. Physically, emotionally, financially, everything. Nothing is easy for him at this point. And none of any other plagues, any of the first 6 plagues, it took Dam, Tzfardei, Kinim, Arov, Dever, Shchin, none of those got Pharaoh to realize that there's a God, and let alone call him Tzaddik. But once he realized the chesed that Hashem did for him, it penetrated his heart. And it really caused him, just for that moment, to do a real tshuva to Hashem. And oftentimes we find ourselves asking, what is it that I can do as a Jew to bring myself closer to Hashem? And the answer is right here with Pharaoh. Like we said, it was debatedly that you can say that Pharaoh was one of the worst people to have ever lived. And if he was able to sit back and think, hold on, there's a God, and I did tshuva to him, al achad kama v'kama, ourselves, who are Jews, and are fortunate to have commandments in our life and the ability to serve Hashem in our life, how can we say now that, how can we just not do that? If Pharaoh was able to, for a moment, to have tshuva and thank Hashem for sparing his sheep, sparing his animals, how can we not see Hashem in our lives? And if we stop and recognize Chasdei Hashem and see Yad Hashem in our lives for just a moment, and we see every second of our lives how Hashem has an active part in our life, we'll see that's exactly what we need to bring us closer to Him. I want to end off with a beautiful, beautiful story of a 93-year-old man, and this story will help bring everything together. Story of a 93-year-old man who falls ill. This man is debatably, he's not sure if he's going to live, and he's rushed to the hospital. This man, along with all of his family, are suffering. It's not an easy time right now. They're in the hospital. And he can't breathe, hard time breathing. So the hospital puts him on a ventilator. After 24 hours, the man is Baruch Hashem healed and he survives. But that's through 24 hours of suffering, physically and emotionally, his family by his side, crying the whole time. It's not easy 24 hours. But at the end of it, he leaves the hospital. And on his way out, he gets a fat bill. $4,000, the hospital writes a bill for him. Immediately, the man starts crying. The hospital says, listen, sir, if the money's a problem, I'm happy to set up a financial payment method. We can get it down, but the money has to be paid. We just saved your life. 24 hours on a ventilator, it's not cheap. He says, look, I'm not crying because of the money. Baruch Hashem, I have the money, that's not a problem. I'm crying because for this moment I had a realization for that moment. If it just costed me $4,000 to live on this earth and breathe on this earth for 24 hours, $4,000 for 24 hours, then how much do I owe Hashem for letting me breathe on this earth for 93 years of my life and I didn't pay him anything? That man was able to see Chasdei Hashem and Yad Hashem in his life, and Bezrat Hashem we should be able to see him also.
Quick references, it's not that long, don't worry. So I'm going to open up with something from Masechet Sukkah. It says here, in Masechet Sukkah, Aval chayav b'chol mitzvot ha'amora b'Torah, and Avel is chayav for every mitzvah in the Torah, chutz min ha'tfilin, other than tefillin. Sharei ne'amar behen he'er. Because in reference to tefillin, it's called the glory of Am Yisrael. Now, why am I talking about tefillin in relation to this parsha? Well, the end of this week's parsha contains two parshiot that are in the tefillin, Kadesh li kol bechor and Vaya ki aviacha. Now, Kadesh li kol bechor and Vaya ki aviacha are all about choosing the firstborn of every animal to give to Hashem. What does that have to do with tefillin? Now, additionally, earlier on in the parsha, the first mitzvah given to Am Yisrael is Rosh Chodesh. What do these two things have to do with each other? What I'd argue is that what it's supposed to teach us is about the beginnings. Rosh Chodesh is the way that we set ourselves and we begin our entire life set according to this new calendar that Hashem has given us. We take this beginning and we say to Hashem, we're living it according to what you want. Kadesh li kol bechor is in the same way. In Pirkei Avot, it says, Rabbi Elazar ish bar Tota omer, Tein lo mishalo, she'ata v'shalcha shalo. Rabbi Elazar of bar Tota says, give Hashem what is his, because you and everything you have belong to him. What Vaya ki aviacha is supposed to and Kadesh li kol bechor are supposed to represent is that everything we have and every beginning we have belongs to Hashem. L'Hashem ha'aretz umloa, tevel v'yoshveva. Hashem, the land and everything on it is Hashem's. Every day is a beginning. Every single day we wake up is a new beginning on how we dedicate our lives to Hashem. We have to ask ourselves, what does Hashem want from me? Every single day. Now that can mean many different things. In Kohelet, that's not the right bookmark. In Kohelet it says, L'kol zman ve'et l'chol chefetz tachat hashamayim. There's a time for every emotion to be felt. What Hashem wants is for you to feel those emotions in that right time. To do what's right in the right time. Yeshayahu says, and some people say it before Kiddush, Im tashiv mishabat raglecha asot chavatzecha b'yom kodshi. If you prevent yourself from doing work on Shabbat and pursuing what you want on Hashem's holy day, v'karat Shabbat oneg likdosh Hashem mechubad. If you call Shabbat oneg, if you call it a delight, if you call the Kadosh Day of Hashem mechubad, honorable, v'chibdabto mazot drachecha mimtso chavatzecha v'daber davar. If you honor it by not going your own way or attending to whatever you want to do, or chatting idly, az titaneg al Hashem. That's when you're able to truly feel the delight of what it means to be an Eved Hashem. Every day, we wake up and we say, Modeh ani lefanacha melech chai v'kayam, shechazarta bi nishmati bechamla, rabba emunatecha. Who is this emunatecha to? It's Hashem's belief in us. As Rav Natanel said, to Shana Bet a while ago, it is kfira not to believe in yourself. To believe that you can't be a true Eved Hashem is kfira. You're going against what Hashem believes you can do. And every day is a new beginning to say, I am going to change the way I live, or even I'm going to continue the way I live, and I'm going to become a better Eved Hashem for it. As Hillel says in Pirkei Avot, Imei nachshav ematai. Now is the chance to become the best of Day Hashem we possibly can. Every day we wake up and we ask ourselves, what does Hashem want from me? We should be zocheh to all recognize what Hashem wants from us and be able to fulfill it in the best way we possibly can.
So I'm going to be making a Siyum on Masechtas Tainus. But before I go into the Siyum, I just want to share a quick idea on a piece I saw in the third parak. So starts out. Just find it. So Rav Ada Bar Abba is asked a question. Question is posed like this: What have you done? What deeds have you done that you merited longevity? Right. So he goes through a couple of lists of things. He says, "I've never walked in front of a person that was greater than I. I never showed anger in my house. I never rejoiced when my friend has stumbled, and a couple other things." And I think some of these things are really applicable in today's time. Sometimes we see we're all rooming with people, right? Pretty easy to get annoyed with a roommate. You know, they're playing music too loud, you want to go to sleep or something else, and your first reaction might be to just yell at them or to scream at them. Let's try to maybe tone it down. Let's try to see the other side and try to compromise or try to talk to them. And maybe we should all be zocheh to longevity. Okay, so I will finish the rest of the Masechta. Okay, so Masechta Tainus concludes with an illusion of material relationship of a spiritual nature that exists between HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the righteous of Israel. Amar Ula says, but Ria Amar Rabbi Elazar. So he said in the name of Rabbi Elazar, Asid HaKadosh Baruch Hu La'asos Machol Tzadikim. In the future, the Holy One, blessed is He, will make a circle of all the righteous people. The Hayu Yoshe Benehem Began Eden, and He will sit in among them in the middle of the circle of the Garden of Eden. The Kol Echad Ve'echad Ma'ara Ba'atzbo, and each and every one will point out with his finger toward him. Shenemar, as it says, Va'amar Bayom Hahu Kinei Elokenu Zeh Kinunu Lo Ve'ishanu Zeh Kadosh Baruch Hu Kinunu Lo Nigala V'Nisimcha B'Shua Spak. He shall say on that day, behold, this is our God. We hoped to Him, and He saved us. This is Hashem to whom we hoped, and let us exult and be glad in His salvation. Hadron Allah Mesechtes Tainus, Vadron Alon Da'aton Allah Mesechtes Tainus. Viditach Alon Lo Nisnaseish Minach Mesechtes Tainus. V'lo Tisnaseish Minon La Ba'ama Ha'aden V'lo Ba'ama Da'atei. Yehi Ratzai Milfonecha Adonai Eloheinu V'lei Avosenu. Shetei Torasecha U'Manusenu Ba'olam Hazeh. Usei Umanu La'olam Haba. Chanina Bar Papa Rami Bar Papa. Nachman Bar Papa Achi Bar Papa. Abba Mari Bar Papa, Rachman Bar Papa, Rakish Bar Papa, Surcha Bar Papa, Ada Bar Papa, Daru Bar Papa, Erev Na, Adonai Elenu, Estebrei Torasecha, Bifinu, Umepios, Amecha, Beis Yisrael, Ve'aneh, Anachnu, Ve'etzenu, Ve'etzei, Amecha, Beis Yisrael, Kulanu, Yodei, Shemcha, Ve'lamdei Torasecha, Neovai, Tamtenu, Mitzvaysecha, Kili Olam, Hi Li Bi, Tamim, Vechukecha, Laman, Lo Evosh Olam, Lo Eshkach Bekudecha. Ki Bam Chanisi Baruch Atah Adonai Lamdenu Chukecha. Amen, Amen, Amen. Tzalavaet. Amen. Moedim Anachnu Lepanecha Adonai Elenu V'lei Avosenu. Shem Satenu Mishovei Beis Hamikdash V'lo Samtenu Chalkenu Mishovesenu Nos Shanu Mishkamim V'hei Mishkamim Anu Mishkamim V'durei Torah V'hei Mishkamim V'duram V'telim Anu Amelim V'heim Amelim Anu Amelim Mekabim Sachar V'heim Amelim V'einam Mekabelim Sachar Anu Ratzim V'heim Ratzim Anu Ratzim L'chayol Olam Haba V'heim Ratzim L'Iver Shachas Shenemar V'ata Elohim Torudim L'Iver Shachas Anesh Damim Umira Lo Yechatzer Yemei V'ani Avtach Bach. Yehiratzayim Lefonecha Elohi Keshem Shachazarnu L'Sayim Mesechtes Tainus Kain Ta'azri L'Sichil Mesechtes U'Saparim Acherim L'Sichem L'Lamed L'Shmor V'Asos L'Chaim Eskol Derei Tamator Sefa V'Hava U'Zefuyos Kol Tanaim V'Amorim V'Amedei Tor Chachamim Yamod Li U'Azari Shalo Tamush HaTorah Mifni U'Mifni Zari B'Azara Zari Ad Olam V'Satekem Bi B'Chizatecha Technecha Osach B'Shkecha Tishmor Alecha B'Hiskios Hi Tiskecha Ki B'Chi Yebru Yamecha V'Safu Lecha Shenos Chaim Orecha Yamim B'Mina B'Sma Osef Akavod Adonai Oz Mi'iten Adonai Yvarech Esma B'Shalom.
Amen.
Hamadeum, Alcoman, Israel, Ibrahim, Adin, Bidi, Bako, Asar, Yehi, Rom, Shalom, Rabba, Kina, Vitista, Varekaman, Gahayim, Arifin, Mr. Vitay, Shubarna, Mead, Kadam, Avin Mishmar, Vimural, Shalom, Rabba, Mishmar, the final news, the time token, Malinu, Akosa, Vimural, I said, Shalom, Rabba, I said, Shalom, Akosa, Vimural.